So again, it's called sketchup.com, and you're going to use your district email to log into it. It's free, and you're choosing web for SketchUp for web. So SketchUp is going to be our tool of choice for the next few weeks, and it's a lot like Tinkercad, but it's a little bit more professional. It's got a few more tools. So it would really benefit you guys to pay attention today and be on top of it. So log into it, use your Google account. And then get to the point where it's asking you to start modeling, just like you see here on the screen, start modeling. And again, you're choosing your Google account to log in with. So today's foundational for this software. Let's make sure that we are on it. There are a few things that are a little confusing if you miss it. Okay, so let's say you click Start Modeling. It should take you to this next page right here. You have a little figure and you have your toolboxes to the left and right. So I'm going to explain all these for you. Today we're just going to focus on the left side. We'll worry about the right side later. Raise your hand if you're still not here. Let's hustle. Let's hustle. We're going to start about 30 seconds here.
I'm like confused. This is already 30 minutes. How do you get to that? I went to website and it was the wrong one.
Okay, you got to pay attention.
I'm pretty sure I paid for something.
No, don't pay for anything.
I'm pretty sure my mom got the email.
Okay, don't distract the class. So again, you're choosing SketchUp for web and it's free. And you're going to click on Start Modeling. Use your Google account. Who still needs a couple of seconds here? Make sure you're on the district internet and your login, your correct login. Raise your hand if you still need some time. Moving forward. Okay, close the Chromebooks. Let's take a look at the screen. Right, don't miss it, Kylie. All right, here we go. So, like I said, this is three-dimensional modeling. It's like sculpture, architecture, all that stuff. It's a little more professional in that you can get more precise than Tinkercad, and the tools are a lot more like your $10,000 software versus Tinkercad that only gave you so many things. So this is what we're going to end up with today. I'm going to do this really fast. We're going to practice using rectangles. We're going to practice raising three-dimensional shapes. We're going to practice drawing with a pencil tool. Don't start anything. I'm just explaining it. We're practicing selecting objects and pushing them through. If it'll allow me. We're going to practice orbiting around objects. And one thing about this software is it doesn't like to be spun around too quickly. So you kind of have to be patient with in between tools because it's kind of slow. Okay, this is the basic stuff we're going to do. Pushing and pulling is what I'm doing right now. And rotating or orbiting can be done in different ways here. The pencil tool allows me to draw different shapes like triangles, selecting with the black arrow tool, and then being able to push and pull with that. Gives us different views. And then the cool thing about this too is that it has a different texture, right? And coloring apparatus to it. So it's pretty cool in the way that it does that. One of the key things is being able to navigate, to move back and forth, and that's going to be the first thing that I talk about. And trust me, if you follow along, you should be able to get this done today, no problem, but you really have to be on it. One more thing here. Like I said, the cool thing about this is you can paint with a lot of cool textures, and it has a little library of things you can use. For textures and flooring and all that kind of stuff, glass and that sort of thing. Okay, so it's pretty easy. It's really not that intimidating. It's kind of like a video game for you guys. So we're going to go 3 tools at a time. So I need everyone to first understand that this is a 3-dimensional modeling thing. So you got to think in the X, Y, Z like you would be thinking in math. Okay, so X axis, Y, and Z are marked by blue, green, and red right in here in your space. Okay, how you navigate is using these three little tools right here. So this is your orbit tool, has a little line down the middle. It's kind of like your camera, panning left and right and all around. This one is panning just left and right and up and down, up, down, left, right. And then obviously zoom in and out. Yours doesn't show zoom in and out because it knows it's a Chromebook, so you can use your trackpad to zoom in and out. Okay, so what I want you to do is use the rectangle tool, which is this one, right in here, has 2 dots and a line. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna make a rectangle right here at the bottom. Make a few, just kind of practice. Clicking and dragging. And then what I want you to do is use the orbit tool to pan around, and then your pan tool to zoom in and out and move side to side. So go ahead and start now. Create 3 rectangles right there on the floor and just use those 3 tools that are on the screen. Orbit and pan. Anthony.
This is so confusing.
So again, just create the rectangles with that simple rectangle tool. Just draw 3 of them on the floor or something like that. And then use your orbit tool to rotate around them. I see some people just chit-chatting, fixing their hair. I'm not going to be helping them because you're not paying attention. So I'm going to go over that one more time. I'm going to use the rectangle tool, which is just underneath the pencil. Select that. I'm going to click and drag to create rectangles on the floor. And then I'm going to use the orbit tool, which is down at the bottom, and I'm going to rotate around. Simple. I can use the pan tool to move left and right, up and down, but it won't let me rotate. The only one that lets me rotate is the orbit tool. Think of like a satellite camera orbiting around an object. Yes, and then orbit around. And pan, that's the little hand with the arrow left and right. You can pan up, down, left, right, but it won't rotate. The only one that rotates is the orbit tool. Should be able to, like a helicopter, roll around it. And zoom in and out with your trackpad. Okay, close the Chromebooks for a second. Now here's the tricky part too. Your black arrow tool, just like in Tinkercad and other software, black arrow tool is like kind of a command, right? You want to tell it what to do. So we're going to focus on these 3 tools right now. We're going to, I hope you're looking at the screen, move, rotate, scale. Okay, so to move something, we're going to select it and choose the 4 arrow tools, and that allows me to move the object. If I select the face of it, I have to unclick from it and go to my black arrow, select it, and then move it. That's if I choose the object from the inside of the face of the object. But if I choose the outside line with my black arrow tool, it highlights it in blue. And I can then stretch the shapes in different directions. But I have to click and drop it off wherever I need it to be dropped off. And then I can select another edge. I can move that one and stretch it out as much as I need for it to line up with something. So architects will be using this all the time, or something like it. But now let's say I want to rotate something. I have to select it first, and I'm going to use the rotate tool, and it gives me different options. I can rotate just flat on the ground like this, and I can rotate it around. But what if I wanted to rotate it in a different axis? So I would have to click and hold and drag until it gives me the rotation style that I like. Then I can click and drag again to rotate it. So it gives me some really crazy angles. There is a way to control this with the keyboard. So that it's a little more accurate. We can get into that a little bit later. So that's the rotation. But what if I wanted to scale, just like we do in other software? I can choose the scale, which is a little square inside of a square. And it gives me these toggles, and you know what to do with these, which is easy. So scale, rotate, and move. Let's go ahead and practice those three. Scale, rotate, and move. Okay, we're going to move forward in about 30 seconds. Okay, so the next tools are, close the Chromebooks, please. Next, we're going to deal with pencil and eraser. Pencil and eraser. And the rectangle tool. So here we go. So our pencil tool likes to just latch on to the first axis that it thinks we want. So it helps to orbit around and kind of manipulate the camera so that you can kind of give it an instruction that you want to draw on a certain face or a certain axis. So let's say I wanted to draw a triangle that was flat on the floor. It'll recognize that, but it always helps to double check. Oh yeah, it is on the floor. Let's say if I wanted to draw on this axis over here, I would kind of want to be right, kind of pointing the camera at that axis, and then draw it again, and then see if you've, drawn on the correct axis that you wanted. But always double check, because you think you might be drawing on a certain axis, and then you're not. So point the camera at the axis that you want to draw on, and then draw your figure, whatever it is. And then double check. See, because right there it missed it. It didn't close. So I have to rotate the camera a little bit. Oh, see, it didn't draw what I wanted. So rotating the camera is key, so you know for sure it's on the axis that you want. So that's that. Now the erase tool erases certain things only. So you got to make sure that if you want the whole triangle selected, that you like click and drag on it, or that you just click, the face of it so that you can delete it. But it leaves the lines, right? So what you want to do if you want to get rid of something completely, take all the lines with you, and then you can erase it by dragging around it. If you just want to erase part of it, like you just want to erase the line or something like that, you can take that eraser and drag just across that little bit of line, and it takes that line, but it takes the fill with it too. So you want to make sure that you're on the correct axis or the correct line that you want to erase. Otherwise, it takes a lot with it, and then you might not want all that. There's an undo and redo, just like other software. Control Z is your friend, and you can redo objects or moves that you made before. So go ahead and practice erasing and using the pencil to draw different shapes. Pencil and eraser. Pencil and eraser. We're gonna get started about 30 seconds here. If you haven't tried the eraser, try it. You gotta click and drag on a line or an edge or a whole object to erase a thing. All right, close the Chromebooks for a second. All right, here's the building part of it. So now you know how to put some rectangles down, some shapes down, and you know how to scale things. So you can scale it to the size that you want. I'm gonna kind of come up with a shape that's, pretty rectangular, kind of like what a house might look like. You can scale it some more to fix what you want. Now, here's the fun part, which is the push and pull tool. Looks like a little box with a red arrow on it. Okay, and we're gonna raise this foundation with it. We're gonna pull the foundation up. Okay, now the tricky part here is to rotate around to the face of it, because now I want to punch a hole through this wall. So all of our structures are going to have a segment cut out of it, whether it's a window, a door, or whatever else. So I have this rectangle within the box here. And now I'm going to select just this inside rectangle right here. And I'm going to push it, instead of coming out this way, I'm going to push it in through the wall. Now I'm going to rotate with my orbiting tool to the back side of this thing. And if I got it right, it punched a hole. But how do you know it's correct? When we make our rectangle on the face of an object and select it, that section is going to move with my push and pull. And I'm going to push it just long enough for it to give me this gray and patterned look. And it tells me on face. See that little sign? It says on face. That tells me it's flush. It's perfectly aligned. When I release it, it punches the hole through. When you don't do that correctly, it gives me a sort of a different look. So I'll show you what that looks like. So you create your negative space that you're going to cut out. You're going to select that negative space you want to move. You're going to select push pull. I'm going to push it through. Now if I go too far, it's going to give me this whole other thing, and I have to orbit, and I see, oh, I went way too far. So I can go back to my push and push that to the edge, right on face. And now I have this negative space. Go ahead and try it. If you're ready, go ahead and put a roof on your figure here, on your form. Choose your bucket tool, and then you'll see all kinds of different textures and colors, like metal, roofing, that sort of thing. And you can paint the walls and roof all kinds of different textures. Now, for someone who doesn't have the computer skills you guys already have, this seems like it's just too difficult. And if you can imagine someone who's a contractor who remodels houses, kitchens, that kind of thing, and just lacks these kind of skills, this software is free. Um, that person could be out of a job pretty quickly in the next 5, maybe even less years, because the person who's younger and kind of understands this stuff can model a kitchen in 3 hours, maybe even less, in this 3D environment, sell the remodel, and probably do a really crappy job, but they already got paid. Just because you can visualize it, you can sell it faster than someone who's been doing it for 30, 40 years. They might do a great job, but they might do excellent work, but they can't showcase their stuff because they don't have these skills. It's kind of the way of the future. So if you don't have this in your skill set and you're a home remodeler, you could be out of a job very quickly. It's kind of what this is going to be about this next couple of weeks with this project. So practice it. If you haven't put a roof on it, put a roof on it. If you haven't explored with a paint bucket tool, different textures and colors, try that. Try the different glass textures. When you get your house remodeled or when you want to construct your third house, you're going to want this, right? You're going to want to be able to choose all the different features.